Good Shabbos, everyone. Normally, davening would just be ending. I'd be seeing all the men to my left, all the women to the right, and see Kiddush being prepared while I'm speaking. I'm preparing my remarks before Shabbos. You have a chance either before Shabbos to hear this or after Shabbos to hear this, but the Drush must go on, albeit myself the only congregant in the Shul. Today, we are reading Parshas Vayakheil and Pekudei, which is the conclusion of the construction of the tabernacle that began a long time ago in Parshas Teruma. And Rabbi makes an interesting observation on the Parshios. And he notices towards the end of this parsha, on the words, Vayas Moshe k'chol asher tzivah Hashem oso kein oso. And Moshe did as all Hashem commanded him, so he did. He notices that from the beginning of Parshas Teruma, where the first time that Hashem said, V'asu li mikdash, and make for me a tabernacle, there are 248 times the root word ayin sin he, asah, to do, to make, is mentioned in different forms. Vayasu, vayas, tasa, whatever. 248 times. And the question is, why 248 times? So Rabbeinu Bachaya makes the following observation. He says that each one of the items that was made in the Mishkan, there were very many items, different utensils, bigger objects, smaller objects, boards, curtains, all kinds of things. He said, but the 248 doings and makings reflects the 248 positive mitzvahs of the Torah that we have. 248 times it says the verb to do, and 248 utensils in the Mishkan. Each utensil, each vayas, represents another mitzvah of the Torah. What does this mean? And how is this practical for us today, especially today? And the Midrash tells us something fascinating. He said that when Bezalel built the Mishkan was a miniature model of the entire universe, all the realms of existence, physical and spiritual realms of existence. And the Midrash saying that the Mishkan was a micro-universe. And those impacted by the Mishkan were impacted by that micro-universe. So too the Midrash says that the human being is a construction of a little bit of the entire universe. And every human being, by the way he's made up, is like a miniature universe. Everything you find in the biggest world, you have in the Mishkan, you have a little bit in every human being. And that's the purpose of us making a Mishkan. As we know, the Torah says, V'asu li mikdash v'shachanti b'socham, make for me a Mishkan, and I will dwell in you. What do you mean, I will dwell in them? What do you mean in them? You're going to dwell in the tabernacle. The answer is yes, of course it'll be in the tabernacle. But the tabernacle, which is a miniature universe, so too the human being. And by us learning about and constructing the Mishkan, we construct our own tabernacle within ourselves. And the synagogue, which is a miniature tabernacle, is a miniature construct of the universe. And we go to the synagogue and we appreciate that we are a miniature construct of the universe as in God's image. We begin to appreciate who we are. And even we can't come to synagogue like today, but in our own home, we have our own Mishkan, because who we are is a micro-universe. Fascinating, fascinating. So that's the 248 mitzvahs, because that's the whole purpose of the world. It's for us to do 248 positive mitzvahs. And as I mentioned earlier, that the prophet Habakkuk, I think I aired yesterday and said the prophet Amos, I'm sorry. The prophet Habakkuk took all the 613 mitzvahs and boiled them down to one yesod, one foundation. Tzaddik be'emunaso yichya. The tzaddik lives with his emunah, with his faith. And that understanding is a symbiotic understanding to both halves of the sentence. That from the emunah, he comes to do the mitzvahs, because the only person who really has emunah can do the mitzvahs. And also, on the other hand, King David says in Tehillim, Kol mitzvos secha emuna. All your mitzvahs are emuna. Doing all the mitzvahs bring us to emuna too. So it goes back and forth. It's almost like a palindrome of a statement. If you have emuna, you'll do the mitzvahs. You do the mitzvahs, it strengthens your emuna. The intent of all the mitzvahs is to believe there's a God who created us and wants us to do these mitzvahs. The foundation of all mitzvahs is emunah. Now the question is, if we say that the 248 doings of the Mishkan parallel the 248 mitzvahs, so which item of the tabernacle corresponds to the mitzvah of emunah, of faith? If we're in Shul, I'd look to the right and the left and try to solicit answers. So you're going to think for a minute in your own home about an answer. Maybe it's the ark. That's the most powerful thing. It's all about the ark. But the truth of the matter is, in the most likely place you would think. Let me explain to you, there were boards, many, many boards. And the boards, at the end of the board, had two prongs going out. From the end of the board, let's say this was a board, two prongs coming out. Those prongs needed sockets to support it. Each board, two prongs, two sockets. Those are called the adonim. They were made out of silver. And those sockets, they represent the mitzvah of emunah. Why? Emunah is the foundation of all mitzvahs. The foundation of the Mishkan was the sockets. Without the sockets, the walls wouldn't be tight and secure. And more than that, each board needed two prongs and two sockets. Why two sockets? Because the real base of Emunah is the first two commandments. I am the Lord, and you shall not worship any idol. So two sockets for each board to have stability in the boards that they shall not fall. Without that, you have no tabernacle at all. If the walls fall in, everything falls apart. So too the Jew without emunah, everything falls apart. And therefore the Baal HaTurim mentions, the Baal HaTurim says that because there were 100 silver sockets, therefore a Jew shall make 100 blessings a day. And the question is, what's the connection between 100 blessings a day and 100 silver sockets? And the answer is on a very simple level. As we said earlier today about the bracha of Shehakol Niyeh Bidbaro, that all exists by your word. Imagine if 100 times a day you say, blessed are you, God, King of the universe, for such and such. 100 times a day, 3 times a day, you say, God is Rofei Cholei Amo Yisrael. He is the healer of all flesh. He heals the sick. 3 times a day that you give us Parnasa. 3 times a day we say, we ask you for wisdom. Without your help, I have no wisdom, etc., etc. And everything we eat comes from you. 100 times a day, the message gets in. That's how we have greater emunah, 100 blessings a day. It's not that hard to make 100 blessings a day, especially if you daven 3 times a day. There's a debate if women are obliged in this, since they're not obliged in prayer as much as men are. But it's clearly something the rabbis instituted. And when was it instituted? It was instituted in the days of King David, when a mysterious plague came and was killing the Jews right, left, and center. And they had no solutions. They had no government health services. They couldn't find a vaccine to the virus. There was no medical science stopping this plague. And King David said, we're going to make 100 blessings, like the Adonim, to strengthen our emunah. And with emunah, we will live. So too, we are under a plague. Of course, we're blessed with science, and we should listen to everything the doctors tell us. But after all is said and done, there's no guarantees. There are many health professionals that are doing essential services that don't have the the benefit of being able to stay home. We all have to go to Sobeys, and there isn't even any soap dispensers there. There are essential things we must do. What's the guarantees? King David felt 100 blessings a day. Tzadik b'emunaso yichya. 100 blessings a day can protect. So now the question is, this answers a very interesting question. The Adonim were made out of silver. How much did people contribute for it? There was a commandment. Everyone must give a half shekel coin. A half shekel coin. Why a half shekel coin? For Emunah. Doesn't Emunah deserve a full shekel coin? And why must everybody give the same amount? It's interesting. Of all the utensils in the temple, and there were different materials needed, people give as much as they wanted. As much as you wanted to give, you could give. You want to give a lot of gold, you give a lot of gold. A lot of bronze, a lot of copper, whatever you want, more or less. But here, every Jew had to give a half a shekel coin of silver. Nobody could give more for these Adonim. Why? And the answer is, based on what we're saying, that mitzvahs, every item in the Mishkan parallel to mitzvah. Well, listen, we know that there are Jews who do mitzvahs on different levels. The mitzvah of prayer, you have a Jew who could pray for hours on end, the most amazing prayer. There's another Jew who prays not as well. There are other Jews who are really good at giving a lot of tzedakah, others not. Obviously, there are different levels of being able to accomplish mitzvahs. So therefore, people gave as much as they could give. They felt they wanted to give. But the sockets, Emunah, the mitzvah of Emunah, although there may be different levels, but there is a minimal basic level that everyone must have. And if they don't have it, they have not accomplished the mitzvah at all. There is a minimal amount. Just like in all mitzvahs, there's a minimal amount. You can't give a lot of tzedakah. There's a minimal amount you have to give every year to fulfill the mitzvah of tzedakah. But what's the minimal amount of Emunah? The minimal amount of Emunah, if you're less than this, it's not worth anything. The lowest amount is Emunah Shalema, complete faith and nothing less. Animami be'emunah Shalema, I believe with complete faith. 30% faith isn't faith. You don't say, God, I trust you some of the time, but not all of the time. I trust you when I'm in control, but when I'm not in control, when I'm not in control, I trust you. But when I am in control, I don't need your help, just don't get in my way. I'm a 30% believer, a 70% believer, 99%. No. It's Emunah Shalema basic level. That's the basic. From there, we can go further. That's a discussion for another time. Animami Emunah Shalema, all Jews must be equal in that amount. And if they must be equal in that amount, that's why everyone has to give the same amount. For that item, everyone has to give the same amount. We all need that same complete Emunah. But if that's the case, doesn't Emunah deserve a full shekel? It's so important. Doesn't it deserve a full shekel? And the answer is a fascinating Jerusalem Talmud in Maseches Shekolim that says the following reason, another reason why we give the half shekel coin. He says, the Jews, the half shekel coin is an atonement for the sin of the golden calf. And the sin of the golden calf, how did it and when did the sin happen? It happened, the pasuk says that Moshe was boshesh, he came late. And the rabbi says boshesh comes the word shesh, sixth. It was the 6th hour of the day he hadn't come. It was midday and he hadn't come. And then the Jews panicked. And then they go make the golden calf. And then to atone for what happened in the middle of the day, we give a half a shekel coin. It was half of the day, half shekel coin. Christians, what's the connection? Just a coincidence. That's when they happen to sin. And if they would have sinned in the 9th hour day, we give a 3/4 shekel coin. What's going on over here? So the Chavetz Chaim explains with a beautiful analogy, explaining what is the root of our deficiencies in Emunah. What challenges us in Emunah? And the challenges are we see the righteous suffer and the evil prosper. And that challenges our emunah. Doesn't make sense. With this virus that's going on, and I'm sure you're getting many videos and everything on social media. I heard last night a big tzaddik in New York, a really big tzaddik, a wonderful person, a relatively young fellow who has this coronavirus, and he's describing in gruesome detail how he has no feeling. He can hardly feel in his body. And he's considered, his life isn't in danger. But there's a common occurrence of the coronavirus. You have to sleep all day, every bone in your body aches. And a Jew looks at that, I don't understand, where's God? Why isn't he helping you? Well, you have all kinds of people who are not at all tzaddikim. They're healthy to walk around, no problem. That challenges our emunah. How do we understand that? So the Chafetz Chaim says, he gives an analogy to a visitor of a synagogue. He's not part of the synagogue. He comes from out of town. He's there for Shabbos. He sees the laning. He sees they call up somebody from the right side of the room, and then they call up somebody from the left side of the room to read from to get an aliyah to the Torah. They call someone from the back of the room, and the back over there, and the back of the middle, and over here, and over there. After the service is over, the guy comes over to the gabbai who gave out the list, says, you don't know what you're doing, man. Just all over the place. Do it simple. There's 7 guys next to the bima. Call those 7 guys up. Going in order. You're going happenstance. And the gabbai says, I guess you're new here, but you don't know exactly what's going on. You don't know what's gone on before, what's going on now, what's going on after. You see the guy on the right, he's a kohen. We have 3 kohanim in the shul, but I already gave the other 2 kohanim the last Shabbos and aliyah. It's his turn this Shabbos, and he's on the right side of the room. And the same story with the Levi who got the aliyah. And the 3rd guy has a yard site this week. And the 4th guy came back, he has the bench koimo. And the 5th guy has a baby naming to make, etc., etc. There's a reason and a rhyme and a reason. If you would have been here over many weeks, and you're going to be here for more weeks, and you see the full story, you'd understand what I'm doing now. So too it is as Hashem runs the world. Hashem runs the world, as we say in the Animam, he's asa osa v'yasa, did, does, and will do. Hashem sees the whole picture. He knows everything that's going on. He knows that someone is a transmigrated soul from another era that needs some kind of tikkun. Hashem knows the whole picture. And if you know the whole picture, you'll understand that everything makes 100% sense. But we, unfortunately, who are locked into our very temporary 70 years of existence, are not able to see the whole picture. And therefore, we have doubts in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And certainly during this time of the virus, there will be many doubts that will impact on our emunah shalema. So therefore, what happened? The Jewish people, the 6th hour of the day, at the middle of the day, where they had not seen the whole story, all they saw that Moshe wasn't here, and he's late, and they panic at the middle of the day because they only knew the middle of the story. And they only waited for the full day to pass. Moshe would have come down, would have averted one of the most horrific sins in Jewish history because of our lack of faith. So therefore, we give the half-shekel coin as an atonement for us to say, I only know half the story, and I'm not going to suggest I know the whole story. And that helps our emunah shalema in Hashem. And therefore, that's what the Adonim are telling us. The most precious, the thing that's on the bottom, you can hardly see it. It even is covered up by many of the beautiful tapestries that fell over it, so you didn't even see it. Emunah, you can't always see emunah in a person. But if he's got the emunah shalema, although there are things he doesn't understand, but he doesn't question them. He continues beyond the questions, because he knows these questions cannot be answered, because Hashem has a really good track record, and we trust him that he knows what he's doing, and therefore we will still do all the mitzvahs, and the more we do the mitzvahs, the more we'll have the more emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. 100 blessings a day strengthens that emunah. That was the decree of David HaMelech. Let me end with a story. A great tzaddik, I don't remember who this was davening alone in a shul. He thought he was alone, like I'm alone. And then he hears some whimpering, some cries from the ladies section. And in the ladies section, he goes up and he sees there's a chassid there, a simple chassid who's crying. And he says, Rabbi, why are you crying? He says, Rabbi, I finished davening on my own. I'm saying the 13 animamins of Jewish belief. And as I'm reading them, I really know I don't believe in any of them. How can I be a liar and say animami ben Rishalema? Where my life is so difficult, I can't even eke out a living. And I have all these problems. And I wish I can believe, but I know I don't believe it. I'm wondering, I maybe shouldn't say it at all. And the Rebbe looks at him and says, let me offer you a suggestion. That when you say the animami, instead of it being a statement of your implicit belief in Hashem, change it into a tefillah, into a prayer. And say, Hashem, I'm praying to you. Please, let me be an animami Jew. I want to believe 100%, and I find it hard to believe in you 100%. Help my ratzon. Bring me miraculous energy into my mind that I can come to believe it. As we say in the Hallel, Ha'amanti ki adaber, I believed because I said. We know there are many beautiful animami songs, tunes. I would suggest we sing it on Shabbos. You can go anywhere on YouTube, you'll find it. The most moving one was the one that was composed, the tune was composed by a chassid on the way, the trains to Auschwitz. It was a beautiful animami. And the whole train picked up the tune right away. And a survivor brought it back to North America. Animami, even going into the train, Bemuna Shalema. To learn a song, to sing the song this Shabbos, together with your Zmiros. That's the tefillah. Animami Hashem, help me to believe. Don't let my belief stumble. I've heard terrible news about wonderful people. Animami Bemuna Shalema. Make a bracha and then say animami. And it works. If we were in Shul today, after we finished reading Parshas Pekudei, we'd all stand up and say, Chazak, Chazak, V'nis Chazek. You can do it this Shabbos when you read out of a Chumash. And we finished Parshas Pekudei, and we said 248 doings. And we think about the Adonim, and we think about the sockets, and we think about Emunah. Then we're going to say, Chazak, Chazak, V'nis Chazek. Hashem, help me get stronger in my Emunah. And when you finish Chazak, then sing Animamim B'Emunah Shalema. Take a little piece of schnapps and say, Shakol Niyeh B'Dvaro. And that will bring us to the Emunah Shalema. Hashem should listen to our tefillos. It is difficult for me to speak to four walls. But I'm imagining that Paul is sitting over there, and that Esther is sitting over there, and that Yaakov's sitting in the back, and that Gerald's sitting on the side with Robert in the kitchen setting things up. I can project such an imagery. And I need Chazak, Chazak, V'nis Chazek. Hashem should strengthen us with our brachas, with our sockets, with Emunah Shalema, so that this plague should end very soon. B'mheira v'yameinu, amen.